ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to a very new episode of the CAU podcast. This is obviously the podcast where we talk about the Toronto Ultra, and of course it was an absolutely bonkers weekend. If you're a Call of Duty fan or a Toronto esports fan in general, this truly was, in my opinion, the greatest moment in Toronto esports history. And not only that, but obviously, you know, on this show, Kris and I usually come down, we give our thoughts, we break it down. But today we are joined by a very special guest. Okay, so Chef Tony himself, the man, the legend, the guy with the extra spicy chicken parm, actually was able to join us for an entire interview. Now, the interview itself was like 45 minutes long, so don't worry. We are going to post the whole thing for you guys next week. So one, if you just want to skip to the Methodz part, we do understand. We'll put the timestamps in the description below. Just go down there and click his section. If not, the part today in today's video is going to be him breaking down the tournament, and then the entire 45-minute interview will be out next week on this channel. So make sure that you like, subscribe, turn the notifications on, do all that fun stuff, because all that will come out next week. We talk about a whole bunch of things. We talk about, you know, the struggles earlier on in the season. We talk about, you know, the impact that Cltuch has. We obviously talk about the tournament as a whole, and then obviously we preview champs and how are they going to be able to replicate the success that they saw this tournament moving forward. We also had some pretty cool stuff, Kris. It was an amazing interview. Talked a lot about player mentality, some stuff that a lot of people don't necessarily talk about in the Call of Duty scene. Overall, guys, what I'm trying to say is you don't want to miss it. Yeah, you don't want to miss it. So check it out. We'll put one clip in the description. Sorry, not the description, but in the video itself. And then you guys can check out the rest next week. So with that out of the way, let's just jump right into it. Kris, how's it going?
Man, we've had a good, nice long day of recording podcast. This is number 3 of 4. So we're going hard. I love talking about this because I've been thinking about Toronto Ultra all day long. And I've been thinking about how much I enjoy watching every single player on the Ultra team, Spencer.
Yeah. I think that was like the best way to put it, man. Obviously, for you guys who know, we started at the Overwatch. That's what we've got our footing, right? We did the Overwatch Toronto Defiant podcast, and we're new to this whole Call of Duty thing. But my God, if this wasn't some of the best esports I've ever seen in my entire life this weekend. And obviously, it helps that Toronto won. That does help. But just in general, man, some of those matches were insane. Like I'm continually impressed by how exciting Call of Duty is as an esport. When we first started covering this, I was like, man, it's going to be a bit of a drag. Like, we're going to have to grind through this. We started watching the games. It took me a bit to get used to it, but once you get into this esport and the little nuances and complexities that go along with it, like, holy crap, what an amazing weekend of games.
What an amazing, you know what, one thing that I really admire over Call of Duty League, over Overwatch, because I do love Overwatch, but I think it has some faults, is just how close of a game you can have between literally any two teams.
Oh my God, yeah.
So I can never expect Boston Uprising or Toronto Defiant to have a really close game with a Shock or a Philly, as you guys know, because we got 3-0 by Philly this week. But I've seen so many times where Toronto Ultra have gone to Mat 5, Game 11s against some of the best teams. And we saw them clap those best teams in this tournament. And we were one of the lowest seeds. That is why I love Call of Duty.
So I completely agree. The parity in the league is amazing. And also just like there's the hard points and domination. Some of those games are just so consistently close. So with that out of the way, let's just jump right into it. We obviously, the first close game of the weekend has to be when we faced off against OGLA. And I think this was an amazing game because one, it was incredibly important for the top 8 seeding. And then 2, you had one of the best sort of like 1v1s of the entire season between Cameo and Piccadilly S&D and Draza, right? Just 2 players who are trying to forcibly get their teams through into that top 8 position. A fight to the end. I think it culminated. What's the word I'm looking for there? Culminated. Thank you. Into like the 1v1 of the century where Draza and Cameo were left to the final 1v1 for that map, and Cameo was actually able to come out on top. That was really the highlight of that series for me. I thought the whole team played incredible, but I thought like Cameo and that Search and Destroy had such a standout moment.
Yeah, he really did. He played absolutely amazing. And I think one thing that for me, sorry, I'm just trying not to sneeze. Whoa.
Where's the mask?
One thing for me that stood out in this series against OGLA was, and what made it so exciting was the fact that I think both teams were a little bit sloppy. I think Toronto built up throughout the weekend. They started a little sloppy against OGLA. They got better against Huntsmen, better against Dallas Empire, and then they topped off against the Atlanta Faze, which is what I really like to see. But this game was so exciting because there were times when OGLA would make some silly mistakes and we would come back, and then we would make some silly mistakes and OGLA would come back. It was never really a time where I thought that Toronto was very, very convincingly pulling ahead until maybe S&D Petrograd.
Yeah. So I totally agree. And then obviously you get the win here, and it's such an amazing win because and there was 2 conditions for Toronto to get top 8. Obviously, one of them was they win the entire tournament, but condition number 2, which I think everyone thought was by far the longest shot, and yet actually ended up sort of happening, even though we did win in the end, was actually Toronto Ultra beat Optic Gaming in round 1 in the first game, and then both teams actually make it into the top 4 Championship Sunday. And winning this first game sort of allowed us to keep that secondary option alive. So we win that. We then go up against the Chicago Huntsmen, which I think all of us, and I'm a huge Toronto Ultra fan, but we predicted them to sort of get knocked up by the Huntsmen, right? And it sort of looked like that was going to be the case. We go down 2-0, and then we're even down in the domination, right? It's like the Chicago Huntsmen are actually up going into half, and they have the preferred side. Somehow, the Toronto Ultra put up a miracle, come back in that second map, and take the victory. Yeah. And then the unfortunate thing happened, which we can talk to in a bit. But Kris, before Pristini sort of lagged out of the map and gave us a free map 4, what were some of the important things that you think Toronto Ultra were able to turn around to sort of start this reverse sweep that led to such an amazing weekend as a whole?
Yeah, so I'd actually say that even though we did lose map 1 and 2, I thought those were fairly good maps for Toronto, but we were still carrying some of those silly mistakes that we had against OGLA into the Huntsmen, and I think we came back in 3 and map 5 because of us being able to shake that. So for example, map 1, Hardpoint and Ramaza, we were up 60 points against the Huntsmen.
Yeah.
And then they came back and win. Like we were beating them up until a point where we make some bad moves and gave up some money hills to the Huntsmen. S&D Gunrunner, map 2. Toronto, we were up 3-1 on Search and Destroy. Ended up losing at 5-6. So it was never a situation like in the final against Atlanta Faze where we got blown out like a 6-0. We were always still there, and we were always kind of one step ahead of them. But we still had to shake off that those kind of like jitters from the first game against OGLA.
Yeah, no, and I totally agree. And I also think that obviously it left a bit of sour taste in some people's mouths that the Toronto Ultra were able to win in a reverse sweep where there's a bit of an asterisk beside the series because Pristini did leg out in map 4. And I can't deny the asterisks, right? Like, it is what it is. I think it's one of the unfortunate events of this whole thing being online, but I'm not going to sit here and complain. Like, guys, it's a worldwide pandemic. These things happen. You know what I mean? So, well, I do agree it's unfortunate. It's in the rules. You sort of just have to play it. I think the positive to take away truly is that we did, you're right. Map 2 was incredibly close. It was a round 11. We ended up winning the domination map 3, and then we ended up winning the Search and Destroy at the end. So overall, I wouldn't say like Toronto Ultra didn't deserve it. As far as I'm concerned, it's 2-2.
And at the minimum, like they go out and they beat like, you know, the next top 2 seeds.
Well, exactly. You're right. Had we just beat the Huntsmen and gotten through because of top 4 and then lost, I think it would have been a bigger issue of like, wow, look how lucky Toronto Ultra got. But you're right. Like then we beat the Dallas Empire and Atlanta Faze. So like overall, it was what it was. But I totally agree with you that like I'm of the camp that we still deserve that win, even though you do have to put the asterisk beside it.
Yeah, exactly. So moving on to Dallas Empire, any thoughts for you? Any standout things that happened in that match that you admire?
People just kept talking about the Atlanta Faze being like the match of the year for the Call of Duty League, but my God, if this wasn't, in my opinion, just as exciting, if not more exciting. Like holy shit, some of those maps were so goddamn close, dude. The fact that we were able to pull out the Dallas, it was like we won the hard point, the domination by like 3 points, and then there was like map 11 S&D, or I forget the exact scoreline. Sorry, I watched it a few days ago. But like what a close and incredibly close and clutch match from the Toronto Ultra that they were able to pull out over the Dallas Empire. I thought that was one that was just close the entire way through. And like it was like the entire season of like choking round 11s like was pushed onto this team in one moment, and it was like, here are 3 incredibly close rounds, and you're gonna have to clutch out all 3 of them if you want to go to top 8 in champs. And they were able to do it. I could not be more happy with this team. I could not be more proud of this team. And again, I think it was just like getting that monkey off their back a few tournaments ago, and they were able to beat Faze in that round 11 has really helped this team in crunch time. And I think you saw it versus the Dallas Empire.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think in Dallas Empire, they had one of the best domination 2-point holds I've seen ever.
Yeah.
Like they held point A and B for such a long time, just like locking it down.
Domination is so stupid. Yeah, sorry, continue.
Domination. And they one of the best holds I've seen literally from Toronto Ultra in a really long time. And once again, we got to give shout out where shout outs due. Bance, you know, I will fully admit that in the past I have kind of tried to call him on not being a weaker point in the team, but I think in this tournament, especially in this game against Dallas Empire, he really, really shined and he showed his worth.
Yeah, not completely. I think Bance has been pretty good all season long, and we talked to Methodz about that, like, but him sort of being an unsung hero and doing the little things correctly. I was really happy to see him perform really well during that matchup and all weekend. Like, it was funny. I think we were initially talking before we played either the Empire or the Faze, and we were sort of talking about like, oh, who's really impressed us this weekend? And I was like, obviously, Cammy, in my opinion, has been like one of the most improved players the entire season, like legitimately most improved player in the entire league. I thought Cltuch has made an incredible impact with this team. Methodz has been so consistent all year long. And as I was mentioning, I was like, classics and carry maps. I realized I didn't even mention Bance. And you go to the stats, and he's putting up like a 1.05 KD throughout the weekend. And I was like, God damn, like, you don't really notice him too much about making these massive flashy plays. Like when the POV goes to Cltuch and he's, you know, trading one, whipping around the corner, trading a second, or you see Methodz with this couple like 2 pieces, 3 pieces. And his KD and Cammy with the snipes. Like, I feel like so many people have these flashy plays, but like Benjamin Bance just does so many things so solidly. And like, even when he's underperforming, he's not underperforming to the level of which we see on players. You know, he's never going like 0-10. And even though he might not be having these massive flashy moments, like, you're right, he's just such a consistent player throughout the series. So it was nice to see him. The whole team performed incredibly well.
The whole team performed incredibly well, and we talk about it more. So you guys will have to wait about that thought of mine for the Methodz interview.
No.
But final map here, Atlanta Faze. Man, first map, we take them by 3 points. Second map, they slap us 6-0. Spencer, what are your thoughts after that second map?
It's a little bit concerning. So one, I'm happy that for one, the Ultra are able to bounce back. I think that's important. But also two, you see this sometimes in like esports, but as well as traditional sports, where like it's one of those, it's a little bit concerning when it's like, hey, yeah, we won a 5-map series 3-2. 3 of the maps were incredibly close that we were able to clutch out, and 2 were a blowout, and the 2 blowouts were on them. You know what I mean? It was sort of like, it's like, man, we are gonna have to go back a bit to the drawing board to like consistently beat these top teams, just because there was 2 blowouts that series, and both of them were the Atlanta Reign. Oh my God, Atlanta Reign. Jeez, the Atlanta Faze beating us. Overwatch. Whoops. So, but I think, again, it's just a testament to how strong this Ultra team has become. They went from a team that seemingly couldn't clutch up to a team that now is able to clutch up 3 maps in the biggest match of the year versus one of the best, if not the best team in the entire league. And then finally, I want to give a shout out to Cltuch. I feel like he always has his best games versus the Atlanta Faze, and you saw it once again, on top of obviously Methodz going ham. But we gassed that Methodz enough in the interview. But he had such a fantastic tournament as a whole, but especially that Search and Destroy map 5 versus Faze. You know, money on the line, the championship in the palm of their hands, and he comes up clutch with not just the Ninja Defuse, but also the 1v2 at the end to clutch it up. So huge.
Yeah, I cannot say it better. And definitely Atlanta Faze is they're no slouch. After that second map when we got 6-0, I was like, okay, we're not gonna win this. Like,
yeah,
like
we got one map. That's good.
I remember we won. First map because Cammy made such a sweet play.
Yeah.
And nobody was checking him. But after that, my doubt went down. But then, you know what? They came back and they got it. And I could not be happier right now. I could not be happier. Yeah,
it gives me a ton of like faith and excitement moving into champs. So I don't know about you, Chris, but with that out of the way, I think we've spoken enough. You know, the people, they don't want to hear us talk about Call of Duty. They want to hear Chef Tony himself talk about it. So as always, guys, thank you so much for watching. Hit the like and subscribe button, and make sure to follow us on Twitter. We're going to play the Methodz clip right now about him talking about the thoughts on the tournament before we upload the entire thing next weekend. If you guys enjoy, please let us know, and stay tuned. As always, thank you for watching.
Thanks. I'd say you had some really, really, really nutty plays. And one of the ones that stuck out for me the most was when you had that absolute Ninja Defuse on S&D against Atlanta. Tell us what was going through your mind during that. Like, why did you make that decision?
Because I'm not gonna lie, I'm just gonna preface this a little bit. When I saw that, initially my heart stopped. I was like, "There's no way he's."
I mean, listen, it looks like a nervous play. Like, it looks like, all right, this kid's gonna hop the bomb and hope for the best. Yeah. But realistically, it was pretty calculated. Like, I didn't have dead silence, so wherever I went, he would have heard me and just knew I wasn't near the bomb. I was also there super quick, so like, when you hop the bomb that fast, it's a lot more likely to get away with it because he's not going to expect you to be there that quick. Yeah. And it was just sort of like this perfect storm where the timing worked out in my favor. Like the COD gods are watching over me and gave me the good timing, and it worked out. Just every time I Ninja Defuse, I'll show you exactly. I close my eyes and I look down.
You can't even look?
Every single time.
That's so funny.
During that play, I was not looking at my screen. It was just audio cues. I just heard my teammates start going nuts, and I was like,
you love to see it. That's why I also see you hop up and you immediately start shooting the right window. I'm like, oh my god, he's not there. Like, it was just so funny that it was sort of one of those moments where
it was awesome.
Right.
That is what I said to Spencer. I was like, it must have been some sort of, it wasn't a bad play. It must have been some sort of counterplay where like the other guy doesn't think he's gonna do it because that would be like kind of, I don't know.
Yeah, it was just because if I tried doing anything else, he would have heard me and I was screwed. I mean, dead silence is so impactful in this game where it's like, if you don't have it, you're practically an elephant, and I didn't have it, so that I saw it as my only play, and luckily I did it because who knows what would have happened if I didn't. You know what I mean?
100%. I mean, it went round 11. I mean, obviously that's not how it works, but like you know, what I mean? If you don't win that round, like things aren't looking nearly as good. But also another play that like really stuck out to me, and this is and again, I don't want to come across disrespectful whatsoever. So if I am misinformed, I do apologize. But I do think that you might have been somebody who, coming into this year, or at the very least these tournaments, I don't know if like you were synonymous with the clutch factor. Like I think that's been a bit a knock on you throughout your career. So I am sorry, but I have to ask the question because
no, you're good. You're good.
I actually tuned into your stream a couple of times. I remember one time you were just like, you're talking CDL, but you're just going through like your like most blown 1v1s or whatever on stream, which one was hilarious, super entertaining stream. Yeah. But two, I was like, damn, like a little bit unfortunate. Like how big was it for you to like in the biggest tournament of the year, you have the opportunity to, like you said, get Cltuch and Cambry their first chip, get Toronto their first chip at their own home series, and it's a 1v2. It's not even a 1v1. You have to clutch up the 1v2.
There is nothing worse than having that type of negative stigma around your name. You know what I mean? Like, especially because I've been playing for 8 years, and like I know, at least I think I'm probably a little biased, but I think I'm pretty clutch. Like I think I've always had a pretty good mind when it comes to the clutch. Yeah. But no matter what, I botched some big ones, and that's what people see. And I don't fault anybody for thinking I'm not good in the clutch. If I watched the same thing, I'd be okay, this kid is shit in the clutch. Yeah. But for it to be me was just so good for my confidence and just overall just like reputation relief. I was just like, thank God that was me. You know what I mean? Like, thank God. And even my teammates, like, I'm sure they were shitting their pants when they saw that I was the last one alive because they're probably like, oh, no. just because I mean, realistically speaking, like, when it comes to the clutch, I don't have a good track record when it comes to the big matches. I mean, I lost to the big one at Champs, which is probably my most notorious. And I think this sort of, you know, people will look at this now instead of that. Like, I got 4 kills versus undoubtedly a top 2 team in the game all year long in the biggest round of the year for my team, and I ended up 1v2ing at the end. So I can't put it into words. My dad said it best. He said that was fucking awesome, and you know that's the best way I can put it.